Let's see how this go. Okay. Come on. Interesting. Hey Dan. Yeah, this is gonna be. I wonder if I can change the font size. I'm sure I can. I, in my old ass age, cannot see. I can't see this text from as far away as I have my stand. Maybe I'll just move it. I don't care if it's in screen or in the shot. I'd rather it be in the shot than not be able to read the damn thing. So let me move this over. So at least in theory, I can read this stuff. All right, I think that's better. Hey, James, Bill, Thomas. So the basement stream, one late night, I think it was pretty late when I started. I don't know what I was thinking. I was not. But I have been thinking about the stream overall. And one of the things in watching older streams, one of the things I'd come to realize was it was taking me a really long time to do things that normally don't take me very long to do. And part of that is because, one, I'm not prepared. Two, I spend a lot of time interacting with the chat, which I don't, not that I have anything against that, but, and then the other thing is I spend a lot of time explaining things that I don't necessarily think on a live stream makes sense to explain, unless somebody asks about it. But the explanations and things, the whys and what fors, those will come as edited videos later on. It is a printed tablet stand. Yes, it's actually really cool if you're interested in it. I'll get off topic because I've decided to dedicate at least 10 minutes of the opening stream to just interacting. But it's actually really cool, and it's got these little locking screws, and you can use an Allen key to tighten them up. You can print one. And this one just so happens to have a tablet holder on it. And it's an articulating arm. It doesn't articulate, it just kind of goes, you know, in a single motion, but it's actually really cool. I like it. It's pretty solid. This one was printed out of PETG, but if I were to redo it, I'd do it in ASA or ABS, a little more durable. In the summertime out here, it gets really hot. PETG might hold up. PLA would not hold up out here. It would deform. So this is how anytime you bring in the camera, always add twice as much time. Yeah, Thomas. So back to that. So one of the things I'm going to do is start doing edited videos, but in the streams, I'm going to do less explanation. I mean, I'll explain what I'm doing, but I'm not going to go into like whys and all that. And I've decided that one, I think some of those things don't translate well the way I do them without having other background in that. So sometimes you'll see me do something that maybe no, you know, like the average smith wouldn't do. And it's because I was taught a different way. So understanding how I got to that point, I think, is paramount. And those kind of videos will come in time. But I think in the stream, it doesn't make a lot of sense to try to explain away those things. I couldn't find my headphones for out here. I've got headphones, but I just didn't want to bring them out here because I use them inside. How is the audio? I'm trying to avoid some of that brimstone forged potato quality audio. So if I need to adjust things, let me know. I've got like a room mic, but I'm sure it's picking me up fine. But I've also got my lapel mic. Let me make sure I still have my lapel mic. I do. There it is. Can you hear me? Hey, Dustin. So yeah, let me know on the audio. Could it be better? Is it okay? You can't hear anything? Just let me know. Camera angles, by the way. So I'm over here today for a couple of reasons. One, I don't have my normal anvil at my other station. Two, it's closer to the door, so it's a little chillier over there. And then this gives me the opportunity to utilize something that's mounted. It's already here. This particular striking anvil and Keating anvil, these are both mounted to, and when I switch the camera you won't see it, but they're both mounted to a concrete slab that Paul and I poured when we did the power hammer, and it's like, I don't know, 30 by 30, and then I think 20 inches deep or so. So it's a pretty solid platform. So it's always a pleasure to use. Let me switch camera angles and you guys can let me know how you think this looks. I didn't bring the third camera out simply because it's been a while and it's set up in my basement, and I didn't want to dig all that out. Hey, Steve Schubert. Hey, Steve King. So, one of the things I noticed in the streams was a lot of times, hey Keith, a lot of times I didn't necessarily have a game plan going into a stream, or if I did, I kind of got squirrel brained and deviated from it really quickly. From now on, I'm not going to make promises, but from now on, I'm going to try to have a plan going into it and execute that plan during the stream, and take this time in the opening stream of the stream to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And then ideally what I'll do is I will work through a certain phase of the project and then interact with the crowd or whatever, the audience, the viewers, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll go for it. And depending on how much progress I'm making, those interaction periods could be, they could come quicker, or I could delay them. You know, like I want to do a thing and then I get that part done pretty quickly. I might just move on to the next thing before I stop. I think for me, that's kind of helpful. It's not as disheartening when I go back and watch something that I can normally get done relatively quickly and then realize it took me 30 minutes to do it. So I will be, the other thing I wanted to do with the camera angle, this main camera, is I wanted to keep the anvil in the shot. Should I forget to do that? Should I forget to switch? At least it's still in view. To a degree. I mean, you can't see a lot of detail, but how does the other angle look? Do you guys think that's gonna fly, or do you think did you prefer the view of coming straight on the anvil? I've kind of got it at an angle and up and down, pointing down at the anvil. I think to kind of give it a little bit more hopefully you can see a bit more. I wish I had the third camera, but I couldn't. I was not motivated enough to bring that thing out. But I can move this one around. Should we think, you know, it's not cutting mustard here. And then I've got a lot of light in here in comparison to what I used to have. I bought some new lights. And these are much better than the ones I had. And the ones I think I had, the older ones, they're not so much older, they're just smaller. But I think those are, I think those lights were better suited for, like, you know, real close-up shots, you know, like vlogging type things or whatever. These are probably still not as good as they could be, but they're infinitely better than the last ones. So I'm gonna, this has got a little bit of a bend in it, so I'm just gonna try to take some of that out real quick, because I don't know. So back to the explanation, right? I have, my internet cable, I have cable internet, so it's provided by like Xfinity or something. I think it's Xfinity. And from the street to the house, they had to run it over, or, you know, in the air. They couldn't dig, because between my house and the street is a cemetery. So they couldn't dig there. And then if they were to have dug on the other side of the drive, they would have had to come down about 200 feet and then cut across and then back over and up. And that was really just not, I would have had to pay for that. So that wasn't really in the cards at that point in time. And then it was going to delay getting the internet at the time. So I was like, oh, I'll just run it, you know, over the, you know, through the air or whatever. Well, and I agreed to this, but he ran it over a tree and hung it in a limb to kind of support it, because it's a good 300-foot stretch. So it was dangling in a tree, and we both kind of got a laugh out of it, you know, because we were like, there's no way this is going to last. And he told me at the time, he was like, yeah, just give me a call, and then we'll see if we can do something better when it breaks. Well, it didn't come down until like just recently, so it's been over 2 years. So I don't have that dude's number anymore, and I've got the means to fix it. I've got these big galvanized poles that the previous owner had here. I think they're about 12 foot long a piece, maybe longer. They might be 20s. But my plan is to I could buy this stuff, but I thought, why not just forge something? So my idea was to take a piece like this and coil it up like 1.5 inch, you know, diameter coils on either end of it, and then have these, I don't know about these, but have two supports essentially twisted together and coming down, and then this will eventually have an opening on the end of it. That's whatever the diameter of that pole is. I think it's 1.5 inches. So I'll put an 1.5 inch round on here after it's welded together, and then that will get bent, and then the twisted part will go up the pole a little bit, I don't know, about 6 inches, and then I'll just put a U-clamp on it and then run the cable through the coils on this, and this will just help support it while it's up in the air. And then that big long pole is going to get cemented into the ground. So hopefully it lasts a little bit longer than 2 years. We'll see. Hey Jeff, hey Jonathan. So we'll see. It's not in the way, right? Yeah, it's not in the way. I just wanted to make sure that I would move this out of view, but I can't. It's only like whatever this is. I think it's a 10-inch tablet. I forget. It doesn't say. It's not like the ginormous tablets, so it's. I don't know if I can zoom in, but I'd rather just make the fonts bigger. But I don't want to sit here and dick with it for too long trying to figure that out. I should have figured this out earlier. I know you can increase the fonts, but I'm not doing it right now. So in order to be able to read this, I had to have this a little closer. So let me let me think about this real quick. I'm gonna leave the benter ones, the more bent ones. So I'm thinking, well, they're actually about the same size. I wasn't sure about that. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll forge weld, you know, an inch or two on this end. Tim Yoder, thank you for subscribing. I will forge weld, I don't know, an inch or two on this end, maybe 2 inches. And then, well, it's gonna be, I don't think it needs to be that much. We'll see, we'll see. I have a little V-swage here made by John Taylor. Damn it, I think it's a little too big for this material. I mean, I could maybe get 2 or 3 hits out of this thing before I would need a smaller V-swage. So I said I was gonna be prepared. I kinda was. But that might be all I need to set the weld, and then once it's set, I can go from there. Or I could just square it up and then be a little easier to weld. That way, I need to go over here. One thing I'm not prepared for is the weld. I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. Oh, you know, because it's on my induction board. Why wouldn't it be? Unlike some people, I am not ashamed of my crutches, and I will use iron mount flux. So I'm going to put this. Now, this is kind of handy, other than the fact that it's not flat. My other one's flat, but it's currently in use. I need to forge one of these. I think would be cool. So let me get these hot, and then we will go from there. While that's heating up, I'm gonna kick up the heating or the air. While that's heating up, the other thing, now I don't intend for this to take very long. I'm gonna do the thing, and then we'll see. I might be able to pull off the coils that I want with the amount of material that's in these 2 bars, and I might not need the third. So we'll see. The other thing I'm planning to do, your guys' favorite, is a horse head. Only because it's been a while since I've done it. I did it over at Cole Iron Works on Saturday a couple of days ago, helping somebody learn how to do one. And then I realized, whew, it's been a minute since I've done it. So I want to just I want to do 1 or 2 and move on. And then my final thing for the night, provided I have time, is taking this 1-inch round bar, or I got some 3/4 inch square bar. I would use smaller, but there's a couple of reasons for it. I already kind of rough drew this out under the power hammer, just kind of roughly broke it down. But I want to break this down more, fold it over, forge weld it, do the thing, blah, blah, blah. The reason I wanted to use the 1 inch was because it's already set to a size pretty good for a handle for you know, a poker and eventually a shovel and you know, other things. I need to make a fireplace set essentially for my basement because I do not have one. All right, so that is, yeah, oh yeah, those are plenty hot. Those are plenty hot. Let me kind of just doll these bad boys up with a little bit of flux. A little bit, I say, because I completely cover them. I'm going to cheese this a little bit, I think, by using a pair of tongs to hopefully set the welds. We'll see how that goes. I'd like these ends to be as close together as possible, but they're kind of wanting to not be together. There's some coke pushing them out of the way of each other. I'm gonna get a pair of tongs that I had somewhere. Here they are. So I'm gonna use, hopefully these tongs might be a little small. Let me see if I got some bigger ones. I don't have bigger ones right here. We'll see if we can make these work. I really just need to squeeze those ends together a little bit. Here we go. Now the magic of Iron Mountain Flux here. it. Right? So they're together. I don't know if you can see that. But it's not welded. It's not welded. It's not welded. Don't let me try to tell you that that was a weld. That is not a weld. It's more like brazing. It's just one of those things. Did you ever find that horse head bottle opener? I've not even looked for it, to honest to be. It's been so cold, I have not come out here. This is the first time, outside of just breezing through real quick to get something, that I've been out here in a while. So that is plenty hot for a quick. There. I'm going to reflux this right on the end. That's what I'm mostly concerned about right now. I did not preheat my anvil. I know some people are really big into that. A friend of mine apparently believes in that. I even showed him Roy's video welding on an ice anvil, and I guess maybe he thinks there's some kind of CGI going on there. I don't know. He said he called BS. I wasn't in the mood to have an argument about it one way or the other, so I was like, okay, well, you call BS, great. So I'm gonna set this weld a little further up, I hope. We'll see. I need to brush it. Do I have a brush? I don't know. You notice it's not sparking. Yeah, not really big enough for that. You notice it's not sparking. You don't need to take it that high. I do need a brush though. There it is. I was like, I know I brought a brush over here. So I really need this to be welded up good though, because I'm going to bend this. I'm going to open this up, and it's going to have. I'm essentially putting a big hole in it. So, yeah, okay. So, yeah, funny, Bill. Yesterday I looked at the weather. Well, actually, it was 2 days ago, but I verified again yesterday that it was going to be a warm day. And it was about 40. And yesterday, I don't know in your guys' area, but around here, the temps stayed above freezing through the night. So I thought, cool, that's going to be great. I didn't bother to look at tonight, and the temperatures dropped back down below freezing in the night. So it's nice and warm during the day, but at night the temps are actually dropping significantly, it looks like. And then it kind of goes through. It's winter, right? But yeah, I did not pay close enough attention to all of those things. So all I'm doing is kind of coming through, and I really want to make sure these welds are set. So now I'm going to brush it and flux it, and I'm going to go over it one more time because there's a seam here, and I want to get rid of that seam. One of the nice things about Iron Mountain is it's got those filings in it, so it actually helps fill in those seams. So it's not. You can do it. It takes more flux than you really need, but I don't need this to be. If I was concerned about that, I would weld another piece on top of the seams. Two pieces technically. I would at this point I would take another piece of round and drop it on there, and weld that to it, and then work that all down together. Because I'm an incompetent forge welder, and that's how I do. But I need this to hold together and not rip itself apart when I go to round it out. So. All right. And I'll switch to the anvil cam here in a minute. You're not missing it. I'm gonna do one more fluxing pass just on this very end, because that's the part I'm the most worried about splitting out on me. And this is gonna be like 15, 20 feet in the air, so I'm not going for looks. I just want it to do the thing. And my fire has got a giant gaping hole in it, so I made the mistake of looking down in there into the gates of hell, and I can't see a damn thing right now. Here, I'll put something over it. When you weld two pieces like that, no matter what you do, there's still a cold shut, like where they meet. Yeah. Yeah, no, because you'll never, even if you put a piece on top, right? Like getting a piece to fill in that area down there, you're not, I'm not going to say you can't do it, but it's not practical to do it. How about that? It's not practical to do that, to try to do that. There would be a much better alternative to what I'm doing if I needed that. I don't think I need that. I made the mistake of pushing material in there, and that's cold. I'm going to get this, and this all handy, because I want them. This Gatorade has been frozen for like 2 weeks. But I feel like this is enough material to do it. I don't need a long support thing, you know. I mean, hell, it was just drooped over a branch. So really only need about that much support total. So I'm thinking with the coils, that'll get me there. I think, let me get this a little turn. Now I know I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera. I've already looked. I was doing something earlier, and it doesn't look nearly as hot as it is because of the lighting. So that's something I'm going to play with if I keep this camera angle. So it's not. So I don't know, you can still see the seam, and I'm okay with that. Okay with that. But I think it's welded. I'm pretty sure it's welded. So I'm going to go ahead and get it hot, and then bend it around my doodad that I don't have ready, which I'm going to go find right now while that's getting hot. So hopefully not burn. So I already know that this is much bigger than I actually need, but it's what I'm going to use. And I don't think you guys can see what I'm up to, but that's okay. And the reason I'm okay with this being a little bit bigger, because it's just kind of a support. It's the U-joint or the U-clamp thing. That's what's really going to hold that whole thing together. I need a little bit more hot than what's hot. If I'm doing a lot of forge welds, I like wearing some dark safety glasses. Yeah, I mean, I could see that being helpful. Another good tip is just don't look down in your fire. You don't need to have a big gaping hole there either, like I had. You can knock stuff down in there. You can usually tell, I learned this from Mr. Bill Corey, if you watch your flame, you can usually tell when you're at a forge welding heat. Now this isn't true for everybody because some people struggle to see it, but you'll notice that your flame starts to get a green hue to it, which is a great indicator that your material is at temperature. It currently is not, which is fine. I don't need it to be for what I'm doing, but what I do need is this end is definitely at a forge welding tip, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that heat while I've got it. Because really all I'm doing right now is bending it. So I'm going to take it over here and bend it around my doodad. And I'm going to cross them over so I get a nice bend right where I want it. And I think that's pretty good. And I'll show y'all's. I'm going to go ahead and bend it around a little bit more as I work it off the jig here. It's not bad. It ain't perfect, but it's kind of what I'm shooting for right now. Where it's currently, like where it apexes, that's all the more I want. And then this end I will bend, so it'll actually sit on the pipe more like this, and then I will bend this down a little bit just for a little added support. But these I'll coil. They'll actually get straightened out first and then twisted together. But I wanted to get it this way so I could get it back in the fire a little easier. I say that, and now it doesn't want to go in the fire. Maybe I should have bent it in a little bit more. Trying to bend it somewhat the same, but put that back in there. I don't need a lot of heat on that, but heat will definitely make it easier. It's only like 1/8 inch rod, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Got a measuring stick here. It is. I would say that's 3/16. I mean, it could be 1/8 inch, but it looks like it's closer to 3/16 to me. Heat in there to bring it back over here. It will not fit, but that's okay. It will when I beat it with a hammer. There we go. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to weld that. Or at least try. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot the pole, because I don't want to weld this until I can pull this tight around the pole. Okay, I'll get back to this later. I'll do that on my own time. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I meant to get that earlier today. They're out, like out. So I'm not gonna go fetch one now. Might have one in here. I'll keep an eye out, and if I see it, I'll grab it. I don't think I do. Anyways, forge weld held. So, hey, that project ended up quicker than I expected. So I guess we don't need this right now. Let's switch back over. Is everything still sounding okay? It seems to me that YouTube seems to be the platform most people gravitate towards for the streams. So it's currently streaming to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I would stream to Instagram as well, but Instagram doesn't make it easy. So I just decided no point. But YouTube and Twitch do pretty okay. Hey, Greg. Doing okay. It could be a little warmer in here. I thought about bringing I got one of those patio heater things. I thought about bringing that out just so I have something when I'm standing here. I've got something I could put it like right here, but yeah, I don't know. It's not that bad. And it would be a lot better if I was more appropriately dressed. But I did not pay attention to the weather and did not realize that the temperatures were going to drop again tonight. A little hotter. A little hotter. You know what? I'll use my lighter when I got a lighter. Oh, and it's warming me up too. So I'm going to do a quick horse head. So but you can only see the Facebook comments. That's true. Yes, there's nothing I can do about that. That's just, unfortunately, the state of dumb that is Facebook. Everybody else can see Facebook comments, but Facebook can't see their comments. So, what are you gonna do? So I should be getting my tools out, but I still got to forge the basic profile of the horse head. So we'll go ahead and switch to that. I'll move this here. Pull this out. This is not, I like to shape these ends a little bit typically, so this is not going to be the best looking horse head in my opinion. always like to do the snout last, because I don't want to overdo that. Snout, the mouth, I guess, chin. So that's where that's at. Now, I'll take this time while this is heating up to dig out my tools that I should have had ready. Luckily, they should be mostly on top. I say that, and of course, the whole tool I'm frantically looking for is not there. My ball. Cool. And that should be it. I'm going to put these up here so I can lose them, get out of the fire. So I'm going to take one more heat to refine this a little bit. All right. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to give them chins a little bump. I need another little bump. That's better. I want to close that. I want to tilt the head down a little bit more. The neck got a little thin. So let's see. I already read that comment. Neck got a little thin. I wanted to do what I was doing, just not in the spot I did it. Is not in the spot that I did it in, but because it's thin, now I don't want to close it up. I've learned this because I'll take a ball fuller in the cheek, and as I spread that out, it'll start, it could potentially fold over that fold, and I don't want that. And at this heat, I'm going to pick the side that I think looks best, which is this side. And I'm going to give him mouth. Right, and here. Oh, that's a big mouth. It's a big mouth horse. And then I usually actually do this the other orientation, but grabbing the cold end. Don't have a lot of bar to hold on to either, so I have to, it's making me stop and think about these angles a little bit more than I'm used to. There we go. I'm just going to chisel this a little bit more. Okay. That'll have to do. Not quite happy with that mouth, but that'll do, Katie. That'll do. So now I want the eye and the fuller. Not the eye, the nose. I like to do the eye kind of last, simply because I think that gives a lot of good detail. And if I do it now, the amount of work that I'm going to continue to do on this, the eye will lose detail, and I don't like that. I just don't like that. So I will take a fuller Right camera, yeah. I will take a fuller and try to give this ear some definition. I like it. I'm gonna hit that one more time. Yeah, I like it. All right, and since it's still got a little heat back here, just gonna go ahead and set these marks. So now, in theory, I should have no problem finding those when I come out if they're a bit hotter. This is a slightly bigger nose punch than I'm used to, but I'm gonna try to go. You have to be careful with these things, because if you're not right on it and you're too far on the edge, you run the risk of shearing that nose off. Corey knows all about that because he's seen me do it. So that's where we're at with that. So again, I'm gonna save the eye for later. I'm not gonna work on that right now. You can always go back over features. I don't necessarily like doing that, but you can. I don't like doing it because I found I tend to screw it up when I do that. It's the only reason. So I'm gonna work on the ball folder a little bit, which is on this side. And this is where losing the definition in the eye really comes into play when you're setting this ball folder in there. You're burning my new IBA hoodie. I'm going to set this relatively deep, and then I'll go back over it and swell that out a little bit more, though. He's already got a pretty prominent fat cheek. Making horse heads are fun. I made one with aluminum shoes. It was a little more tricky. Yeah, aluminum can be very fun to work with sometimes and very frustrating to work with at times. Alright, so all I'm going to do is half on, half off. If I can hold on to my pants here. I'm going to put it up on this edge. Put it up on this edge. And then just work it down. If I can. All I'm at this point, just really just taking the big marks out of it. And that's all I'm going to do there. But that really, kind of hard to see, huh? Oh, that's even worse. There we go. So now I'll do the fullers on the mane, and then I'll catch that eye. I'm not dissatisfied with this horse so far. There's two things I don't like about it, but at the end of the day, it serves the purpose. I recently, with Paul, my buddy Paul Kennedy, and Kurt Fehrenbach, we went over to Muncie and checked out a Samuel Yellen gate that's there, which is very cool. And one of my favorite things about that piece was that it wasn't perfect at all. And it made me feel like I'm really not that bad at forge welding. Because there was a couple of things that we saw that we were just like, wow. But when you think about the way it was done and all that, makes sense. And there's so much going on that the average viewer probably would never have noticed any of those things. Okay, next heat, I'm doing the eye, and then I'm finishing off that main, which is not too shabby right now. Yeah, so the Samuel Yellen piece was really cool. I mean, like, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people do this, right? Like, you're searching. I just hear something beep. But you're searching for that perfection, right? You're trying to make it as perfect as you possibly can. And one of the things I think, and Roy Adams over at Press Center Ironworks has actually talked about this before. Sometimes you got to really, especially if you're trying to do it and make money at it, right? You really got to think about who is looking at the piece and at what distance is that piece being evaluated. Because one, your average person, like looking at those forge welds, they would have no critique because they would have no idea what they're looking at. But then, how far away and how much other stuff is going on in that piece that's going to hold their attention. All I'm doing is planishing these spots right now. Now I need my eye punch. Eye punch, thank you. That's not a bad looking horse, I don't hate it. Let's see how this eye comes out. Yeah. Get back in there. There we go. But there were things that went on the Yellen gate that I was just like, wow, I would not have expected that. But there it was. Oops, he's trotting out of frame. But anyways, there it is. Nose is, I mean, it's harder to see on camera than it is right here. And hey, look, he's a somewhat happy horse. I have a tendency of making him usually look mean. But he looks okay. So, horse out of the equation. I've set out and done the thing. I'm going to take a moment. And read. Oh, there ain't many things since making horse heads is fun. Come on. Come on! Now I will say, when it comes to this piece, the pseudo fire poker, I've never actually finished a fire poker. I've never really thought about making one. I did once, but I never finished it. I don't even know what to do with it. This, I'm gonna get this hot. Looks like, I mean, the ones I've seen, they usually draw taper out, fold it over, forge weld it onto itself, and then taper that end back out, and then shape the back thingy. Am I close? I mean, to be honest, for me, for my uses, I don't know how often I've ever used the back hook. I'm gonna do it, but it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how often I've ever actually used that. So like for me, I mean, I'm good with that. But I need to make a shovel at some point as well. A whole set, really. So at some point I would do that. Rake, huh? I've got, you know what's kind of funny is I've got this one and it's kind of long for the forge. I might co-op this for the stove. That would be handy. Be able to even out your coals. And that's about the length that I want. I think. So it could be a little longer. But for my normal forge rakes, they're not typically that long. I'm going to break this down a little bit more than it currently is. Nice. A little bit more material barred up. So when I fold it over, I mean, like, that's probably good enough for the back hook end that I want, but I need more to fold and weld and draw out. So. I would do this at the power hammer, but from this forge to the other power hammer, it's a bit of a walk. That's easy peasy. It's all technique. Just a 3.5 pound hammer. Ain't no thing. When I got a 5, I wanted to get serious. But this is close enough. All right. I think that's close. I'll straighten things up. see where I'm at. And then I'll finish that taper out. There's quite a bit more material there for the long pointy end. You notice how like breaking it down in this way, I don't spend a lot of time cleaning it up. At most, I'll usually try to straighten it a little bit, but like if it's twisted, I don't care about any of that. Big lumps and bumps. I got work to do still, so I just don't see any point cleaning it up. Now, if you were going to call it a night and not finish it, then at that point maybe clean it up, just so that way you've got something to look at that's clean. Mostly, you know, when you come back in the next day, give you an idea of where you're at, where you need to be. How long of a piece of 2-inch square do you use for your anvil? Kevin, some of that depends. For me, 16 inches. We start with 16 and then draw the horn out. And give me a second, and then I'll measure this one from heel to horn and give you a better idea of what that came out to. All right, so I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna clean this up just a hair, straighten it. Plus, this gives me an opportunity to extend this taper a little bit. And I'll tell you why I'm doing that, Kevin, as well. I'm not going to put this back in the fire right now. I'll measure it since my other project kind of fell by the wayside. I don't mind taking the time to do this. So this particular Keating anvil, it started at about 16 inches. It is now, well, if I can get, there we go. It is now 20 1/4. So, and this one has a longer horn than the other one that I want. I haven't finished. Is it over here? Yeah, I can pull it out. So this is the one I want. I've been holding on to. I just need to finish it. So this is the one I want to be my main Keating anvil. It's got a much shorter horn. I just prefer a shorter horn. Now the reason I picked 16 inches is the striking anvil that it sits on is 12 inches long. And I wanted the horn to exceed the stand, and I wanted the heel to exceed the striking anvil itself, so there's enough material, there's enough space in between the hardy hole and the base plate for tooling or whatever, drifts and such to drop out for the most part, or easy enough to remove. The other thing is I can remove my tool rack, and that gives me more access to the horn should I need it. Typically, depends on what I'm doing. I don't use the horn for a lot, but if I need to, I can easily pull my tool rack off, and that gives me access, almost full access to the horn, about 1.5 inches shy of full access on the horn. So that's something that you want to think about. You know, it doesn't, I want my anvil to extend the full length of the striking anvil, or the anvil itself, the striking anvil itself, as much as possible for the added support. And so you can make them shorter if you want, but then you stand a chance anytime you're working on the horn of that front end of that heel. I would put a big radius on this side here, down here. I'd put a big radius down there if you were to do that, because as you're working on the horn, that leverage could dig in and start taking chunks, or not taking chunks, but marking up your striking anvil. So just something to be cautious about. But yeah, 20 inches. So what, we drew that out 4. So that, you know, doesn't mean we started with 4 inches, but we drew that taper. So we pulled it out an additional 4 inches from 16. And really, You can make your horn however you want. I prefer a shorter horn because I don't use one that much. And if I do need one, I've got 1, 2, 3 other anvils with all pretty much completely different horns on them. Four other anvils with completely different horns on them that I could pick from if I need that, which that's rare for me anyways. Okay, so let me fix this end so that I can fold it over and weld it. If I was a thinking man, kind of not, I'd have brought my induction forge over here and plugged it in, because for this type of thing, the induction forge is sweet. All right, probably should get this damn thing off of here too. But yeah, I've got this one, and I need to make 3 others to fulfill every striking anvil I have for my shop, because I have 5 total striking anvils. And then I've got 2 here on 30+ inch bars that we forged 2 out of. One is for sure Corbin's. I think he thinks the other one's his. I don't know. We'll have to have that chat. I would like all the people that came out to my shop and make a striking anvil, I would all like for them to have an opportunity to take a keyed-in anvil should they want one. They're going to have to do some work for it. It's not going to be free. I'm not doing it for them. I'm not charging them for it, but I want them to take part in the actual forging aspect of it. So we'll see. So this has got a bit of a twist in it, and I need to bring this down. Now I want to see if I can take this twist out of there. Okay. So the first thing I'm seeing, it's thin here, right here, which is fine. That's where I'll put my bend, I think, where I'll bend it over onto itself and weld it. And then that should set me up for the next process. But I want to clean this up a little bit more. And then that's the other thing I haven't asked is, like, when I forget to switch the angles, like, is the current view completely useless? I know it used to be. I don't know if it still is. It seemed like before it was still pretty useless. So I don't know which one's less useless. This particular one or the old style? I'll have to look for myself, I guess. But, and then switching to the other camera. Or maybe what I do is just have anvil cam all the time and do a picture-in-picture of the wide shop cam. Have that up in the corner, and then when I switch them, just reverse it. How did the yeah, well, so Paul, it would have worked out, only I forgot a crucial piece. I forgot the pipe, or the piece that I'm going to actually attach it to. I completely meant to bring that in and totally forgot about it. So it's still way out, and I'm not going to, so I'll just get back to it. So I need to just cleaning this up a little bit. Okay. But hey, the good news is At least this orange Gatorade thawed out today. I'm gonna go try a blue one. It's still a little slushy. Ooh. Yeah, Frost is right. Okay. So I want to bend this about there. A little bit. No. Now, I probably could have taken that down a little bit more. The whole thing. It'll be fine. Well, that's heating up. I'm gonna put these tools up real quick. No, I don't typically mind if my Gatorade gets warm. When it's hot, I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of hot Gatorade. To be honest, on a hot day, I don't like drinking cold drinks when I'm working. I kind of like, it feels like it's shocking my system. So at that point, I'd almost prefer, like, you know, room temperature drinks. It's welded. Looks welded. Maybe I'll make a baby dragon instead with giant horns. The sound is okay. Cameras look fine. Thoughts, suggestions, critiques? I'm here for you. It's going to be a smaller hook than I think I intended, but that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, I don't really use it that much anyways. And some of them I think are obnoxiously big. Switchel is better than Gatorade anyways. Is that stuff we were drinking at the fair? The Amish Gatorade? It's pretty good, but I don't know, man. I kind of like my fruit punch Gatorade. Nice video and sound setup. Things seem to be good. I am entertained. Well, if you're not, you'd let me know and I'll put a tunic on and start fighting somebody. Okay, that got a little warm, but hey, that's fine. Because think I'm going to call that welded. So I'm going to go ahead and start drawing that out. Yeah, if you guys have, y'all probably watch more of these than me. So if y'all have suggestions, you know, I can start going into Bitcoin or something, NFTs, if you're interested in that. You know, we can start talking about, you know, anything that doesn't have anything to do with blacksmithing. We can go over it if you'd like. I'm here for you. You just let me know. I'm gonna draw. All right. Yeah, like I said, I didn't think about it until after I did it, but I really should have, drawn this down more, at least up to this point, because it's going to be a lot more difficult. Not that I can't do it, but it's just going to make it harder than it needs to be to thin this down a little bit. And that's still a bit thick for what I want in a poker for a wood stove. But the idea was I would draw this out to whatever length. If I needed more, I got more. And then up here, this is going to be, I'm going to break it down more, but it's going to essentially be my handle material. And I wanted it pretty thick because I want to forge a ball on the end, and I wanted a bigger ball. I like big balls. Smaller screen makes it a bit harder to see the progress. When you say smaller screen, like the shot we're on now, or you're talking about the wide-angled shot? But yeah, you can see right in here. I really wish I'd thinned that out more. Is the main cam not in focus? Am I not in focus? I can't, and the problem is in order to see what's going on, I'm like looking at that, so. I mean, it looks. Am I in focus, y'all? But yeah, this needs to come down quite a bit more. So it's just cloudy. I wonder if that's because of the smoke, or maybe the lens needs to be cleaned, or because it should have. Let me check, make sure I didn't turn it off, because it should have autofocus. Okay. I don't know if that seems to matter. I've been practicing with Trump moves. I think there's too much hip movement going on right now, though. Well, I've been out here, so it doesn't seem, I can, like in the back of the shop, I can definitely see a haze of smoke. So, but like over there, I don't notice it. But I've only got one door open. So that could be, That could definitely be. Just from, yeah, well, okay, standing back here and looking back towards where I'm standing, yeah, it's a little something. But I'm gonna go ahead and let's hit this lens real quick. Sorry. I should have switched cameras, but whatever. But yeah, now when I'm standing back away from it, I can see it. But the only way I can really fix that is to crack a door, and I ain't doing it. Ah! Ain't doing it. I will say that the main cam, shop cam, let's call it shop cam. Shop cam is probably, from where I'm at right now, I'm going to say at least 12 feet away. And honestly, I thought about moving it further back. And then anvil cam is maybe 3 feet away. I don't even think it's that far. I could move them back a little bit, but it's not on the most trustworthy. It's not that it's a trustworthy stand. It's just kind of a flimsy stand. And the idea of raising it up really high and with a $500 camera on it, no. So I'm gonna bend this piece out of the way and then see if I can take that material down a little bit. But yeah, I could have brought the other camera out, but then I have a tripod for it, a good one. But then I had to take it down, and I had to move my desk to get to it, and I just didn't really want to go through all that. Not tonight. Now I'm not gonna leave the cameras out here, but I'm gonna leave the tripods and the lights out here. So ideally, when I come back out next week, or another time, because it's supposed to be warmer this week, so I might just do a double feature, who knows. I'll leave these mostly where everything is, and then I'll add another camera to the ensemble. Now with anvil cam, do we get enough that we can actually see what's going on? So I'm going to bend this as much out of my way as I possibly can. I think I can get to that, but I'm going to try to, whoop, hey, get back over there. It's like a weird claw now. All right, so I just bent that, kind of try to get it out of my way as much as I can, and then I'll try to forge this down. I mean, like, I know the forge weld took, because I mean you can clearly see how far I drew that out, and I don't see any splitting at all in there. So I'm happy with the forge weld itself. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad, I mean, like, picture-wise, it's always seemed to give a good picture. It's a little oversaturated, maybe, but that's because of the lighting, and I haven't adjusted the camera to the new lighting setup. So that'll be the next thing. Like, and one of the things I can do, actually, I didn't even think about this till just right now. I'm going to drop that a little bit and see if that helps with the visuals on the material. Yeah, that's hot. It's just not hot where I want it. I'm about to put this Gatorade over that fire and have myself a warm Gatorade tea. but I'm more interested in the angle than anything else. Like, you guys think that's a decent angle? Do you think I should shoot for something else? Now, when I get the other camera out here, we'll have multiple views that we can go from, and then it's just going to be a matter of me figuring out which one I should be using. Let's see. That looks pretty hot. How's it look on the camera? I switched the damn camera. It looked pretty hot. It looked pretty hot, but so I'm going to start right here. All right, getting close to the, so I can't really get in there. That's about the best I can get. Now, I can get there, but I got that lump in there I'm gonna have to deal with. So, but that's better. That's already a lot thinner than it was. So, get that hot again. Now I can get in there. I don't know if I have. Bar might work as a makeshift set hammer. That might let me get in there. Take out that little lump right at this crease. We'll see. We'll see. Well, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. All right. And I'm pushing this piece, pushing those two tapered ends. I'm pushing them past my fire pot. The anvil cam angle is in a good position. New ISO is good. Can see detail in piece. Cool. It's actually an ND filter, an adjustable automatic ND filter that I've got on there, so I can lower and darken things up a little bit or brighten them up a little bit. I mean, I can go. So if I can go forge weld mode, but I think that's a good compromise. All right, so now I need to bring more of this bar out to about that dimension. So I'm just gonna go, well, you know, I'll leave it on the anvil cam for right now. This would have been a lot easier had I not welded that the way I did. When I did, I wasn't gleefully ready to go. And that would have been a lot easier to deal with than it is right now. Now this really, this, you got a power hammer, use it. Ain't gonna lie. You got a power hammer at this point, use it. Held it back, I just might. Got a lot there to go. I don't want to. Come on. I'm pinning my fire up over here. You know, that goes to Kurt's. They'll understand that right now. That reminds me, Ken asked me last week when his dues were coming up, and I was like, I don't know. His actually aren't due. Should I not make it to Kurt's, and you do, somebody does, Ken is good until June. What is one blacksmith technique that you would like to improve on? Mine would be drop the tong forge weld. Oh, what did I say, Kevin? What did I say? One, I mean, to be honest, all of them, but currently, I would say freehand scrolling. I would like to be better at freehand scrolling. That's just something I haven't done a lot of, so I think maybe this year I up the ante a little bit and just do a little bit more of that. I'm going to sneak over to my power hammer, excuse me, and get a little more work done. Okay, that is already looking mucho better. All right, that's where I'm at with it. With that. I'm okay with most of what's going on here, so I just need to extend that upwards a little bit. Lengthwise, I don't know where am I at. I think I want around, I blacked out the screen. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, is this too dark now? Here, I remember now. Yeah. But I'm thinking I want this around 28 inches long in total, which we're not there yet. That's only 16-ish, but I think once I break this down to closer to this, that'll get us a good portion of the way there. This is just 1-inch mild steel that I got from Kevin. Trail dust, y'all. Thank you. This is one of the pieces we got out of the mini buckets. You know, maybe I just never gave the glue stuff a chance, but it's not bad. Or I'm just really thirsty. All right, so I'm going to leave this end alone for right now, and I'm going to focus more back here. But it is definitely starting to get a little warm on this bar, so I think I might have to consider switching to tongs here soon, which I don't want to do, but I'm also not going to, I'm not going to spend a lot of time working on that by hand. That's one of the things that kills me with Black Bear Forge is like, he'll go to the power hammer, and then he'll go to his treadle hammer, and then he'll go to a fly press, and then he'll go to his press, and then he'll do it by hand, and then he'll do it by hand, and then he'll do it by hand. And it's like, dude, just take that damn thing back to the power hammer, get it. Now we got the idea. Hey, I get it. Not everybody can have a power hammer. Not everybody can afford one. But at the same time, if you got one, use it. Use it. You know, you got a power hammer, there's no need to try to break down 1-inch bar into like 1/2 inch. There's no, you saw I can do it, but I had a realization. I was sitting there beating on it, and I was thinking to myself, why? Why am I doing this? I got a power hammer right over there. And then, hey, Kevin, and it's fun to use it. I appreciate it. And actually, a good portion of what I have left of this, I haven't really used that much of it. I'm going to probably take with me to the Indiana Blacksmiths Conference and, you know, use it there or put it in the beginners area for people to use. I think it's a good use for it, you know. A lot of good sizes in there too, you know. It's not, none of it. The 1-inch might be a bit much for some people, but other than that, like I think the rest is like the biggest pieces were 3/4 inch square bar, which is like for making tongs would be perfect. Though I personally don't like using square for tongs, but it's just me. So I'm going to put this back on the wide angle shot because I'm not going to be at the anvil. I'm going to go over to the power hammer. And for stuff like this, I typically just use my tire hammer. It's a little cold still for me. I could probably fire the big hammer up, but Grease doesn't like the cold and joints, and I would prefer it get warmed up before we do that. And what I'll probably do if we were to do that and it's this cold is just take one of those patio heaters next to it and let it run for an hour or so. But that is hot enough to do what I want to do. If I can walk over there without falling down. Oh! Created an obstacle course. Okay, this is definitely getting into I need tongs territory. Ooh. Oh, let me show you where we're at. Got a bit of a rhombus to it, but I can fix that. Or hell, I might just leave it. That could be a cool feature. I don't know. But it's a fire poker. Almost. Not quite there yet. Not quite there yet. Almost. See, I guess I can measure it, see how close. I'm old enough where I need to save wear and tear on what's already worn and torn. Yeah, I'm right behind you. I have to, that's one of the things I have to like come to grips with is, you know, hey, you're not 30 anymore. Hey dude, you're not 40 anymore. So now, from tip to where forging starts and stops is about 18 inches. So I think I'm gonna need to take off another inch of true material to get where I want to be. Because that's not gonna, you gotta figure I'm only taking it down to about, well at this point slightly above ½ inch, but so you know, it's not growing 4 to 1. I'm out, see you tomorrow. Catch you all later. Well, we'll see you, Paul. We will see you. What time is it? 9:42. Okay, cool. So I need to find a pair of tongs that will hold that, which I think have right here, but I don't know. I really hope I didn't put those in the truck, because I don't want to go get them if I did. Nope, way too big. Those might work. I think these are 5/7/8. Those are 2 inch. Nobly not it. That's 3/4 inch. Where the heck? I got a pair. Somewhere. Somewhere around here. I have this bad feeling near the truck. Let's go get them. I might have to try to make these work. We'll see. We'll see how bad it is. Don't see them. And I pulled that 1 inch piece out of my truck, which leads me to believe that I likely had those tongs out there with them. Okay. Not a big deal. What we do, here's what we do. This is how we do. We quench this end off, flip it around and stick this end in. It's not as comfortable. Man, that bar is hot. I'm gonna do it over here though, I think. Yeah. Cool this bar down so I can hold it. Bad thing about a tank, or like a stock tank heater in these kegs, is it evaporates the water pretty quick. So this thing used to be mostly full, now it's maybe half. Maybe half. Put this out. Put this in there. There we go. There we go. Okay, so the downfall to doing this is I have a taper coming down and then these sharp ends. So I want to, while I'm forging this, I want to try to remember to hold beyond the pointy ends. But because of that taper, it's gonna want to zing me if I'm not holding it true. It's gonna send that shock wave through that. It's gonna be like a whip. So if you ever have to do this, just bear that in mind. If you got a pair of gloves, don't wear them. I do. They're in the truck. I meant to bring those out. I totally meant to bring those out. Switch cameras again. So, I like to take a mop, forge mop, get it wet, Get most of the heavy water off of it. Drape that over my piece. And that helps that heat from creeping up the bar substantially. Won't keep it cold for long, but it definitely helps. Another trick you can use if you get a lot of green coal on your table is pile green coal over it. That will help. The only problem there is as your bar starts to heat up, it starts coking up that coal, and when it does that, it just starts sticking to the bar. So that can kind of suck too. But it can work. I've done it. Things you can use to kind of just pull heat away from it. It's always going to be helpful. I mean, even on the induction forge, it will eventually start creeping out towards the bar, the bar, that heat. I just had a moment where I was like, wait a minute, that's a good tidbit of information to have. So if you think about, take a 1-inch bar, and you start heating up 1 inch on the end of that bar. And that's all you ever heat up, 1 inch. Just keep doing it, keep doing it. That whole bar is eventually going to get hot. And it's going to take a while. It will take a while. But it will eventually get hot. Too hot to hold on to, too uncomfortable to hold on to. Might not be burning you, but it's kind of like a super hot potato. Think about that. So think about that. I don't know how many that heat. It could be a good experiment to do, but take a 12-inch bar and keep doing that. So the anvil preheater guys out there, I think that would be a valid. Probably wouldn't be, because flat earthers still believe flat earth is flat no matter what. But it could be. It could be. I'm gonna pull my rag off and just take a peek at where I'm at. Yeah, baby. But I'm not quite where I want to be. Almost there. This is when I wish the third camera was out here, because then I could have power hammer cam and then show you guys what I'm doing. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. I've got a fullering tool over there, a spring fuller. I'll bring it over here when I come back. But I'm going to run that fuller over true material and isolate what will become the handle and then the shank of the shaft of the fire poker. And if my guesstimate isn't right, the nice thing about that is if I don't go too far too fast, I can still move it, but it's a lot easier to move. I can move up the bar a little bit, and it won't be a big deal. But that's good enough for now. I'm gonna go get this going. Well, I was gonna. Oh, there it is. It's like, oh no, I lost my horse. So we're gonna go right about to here. And then we're gonna take this and roll it. That's hot. isolated enough. And I'll show you on the other camera. What I did there. Oh, I'm going to bring that sprinkler over. But all I did was just isolate that chunk of material off. So that way when I go back to the power hammer, I'm going to come out and I'm just going to start working this in. And then I can clean this up later. But that isolates it, makes it a lot easier in the long run. Let me put this back in the fire and I'll go grab that tool and I'll show you what I was talking about. And gloves would have been handy. Definitely handy. So, this is, so this is the tool I was just using. And you see it's, Paul made this one, I think. Pretty sure he made these. He made like a set of 3 or 4 of them one night. So all it is just a couple of pieces. This was sucker rod, I think. And then we just, well, I say he just isolated off the material that he wanted on the ends, forged this out, did the bendy, and then there we go. Simple tool to make. And I really wish I had a glove. I might have to go to the truck and get it. Let me look around, see if I got one. I usually keep several pairs of Kevlar gloves in the shop, but recent events, I have found that I've been taking all of them. I've got like 3 pairs in my truck, none out here. Truck. That's okay. Plenty hot for this technique, this process. Oh. Okay, I left that on accident. That's where we're at. I'll measure it. How close we're getting. Take it easy, Kevin. Thanks for hanging out. We are at 21 1/4. That'll do. So where I isolated it off, that's plenty because there's still plenty of material there to pull out. I think we'll get there with what we got. The problem I'm having is, like I said, because of this taper, it's sending all those vibrations down that piece. And you got to be careful down here with that as well, by the way. So if this is too thin, you could run the risk of that getting knocked loose. So far, I mean, it looks fine, but this taper is going to get thinned out quite a bit more. So that'll give us the length. And then what I probably could do at this point is cut the material down. And I'm not going to do that right now. I'd like to. I really wish I had tongs. I might really have to go out to the truck and get tongs. If not the tongs, I'm gonna go out and get a damn glove. I'm gonna go do that. I'm not gonna put this back in the fire. I'm gonna go shut the tire hammer off. Okay. I think you can hear me all the way out from the truck. I'll at least talk while I'm going over this. All the guys are crappy talk on it. Maybe from the truck so we can come back in the truck. Yes, hopefully I didn't lose you on the way out there, but I'm back with a glove. Get this back in the fire. See if I can find those tongs. I've got my ultimate tongs here. It's better than nothing. They're not the ones I'm looking for. They're usually on this rack. I don't think this damn. Well. I'll try my ultimate tongs, see how they work out for us. Should be okay. They're ultimate in terms of they'll hold a lot of different sizes and shapes. They're not ultimate and they don't hold all those things well. But they're handy tongs to have should you forget something or lose a pair. They'll work in a pinch. You don't have to reform a bunch of tongs. And this does a lot of other things really well. But okay, that's a hammer and some form of anvil. What's next? Jack. Bye. Well, I don't know if Jack is still around or who that Jack was, but we're working. We're working. We're working. It's got to get hot. You got to get it hot. Take it easy, Jeff. But I think I've got one more heat under the power hammer. I wish I could just turn the camera, but that won't work. I got one more heat under the power hammer, I think. And then the rest will be managing this at the anvil. I could do the whole thing at the power hammer, but I mean, you're not going to see anything, so that would be no fun. Okay. You can take it back over there. At least you'll get to hear it, right? That much better. A little better. Thin it out a fair bit more, and then now it's just going to be catching the rest up and blending it together. And I think lengthwise, we're creeping up on it. We are creeping up on it from where my forging starts and stops there. We are at right at 22 inches. So I don't know if that's going to give me everything I want, but I think with a completed handle, that's going to be, I think that's going to be close. Let's see, handle I want right around 5.5, so right there, 28, it's almost 28. So I think I can get an additional 2 inches out of what's here, still have plenty of thickness down here where I want it. So I think that'll be fun. And I don't know that I necessarily need 5.5 here. I think that's going to get forged down. So that stuff will get forged down. And then so that by forging it down, it's going to extend in length as well. We got a pretty good head start on what will be the fire poker. I'm going to quench this end off, and I'm going to focus on this here, blending this together, and then I'll move up and then move up. So I might have to go back and forth quenching it off and heating up certain spots. That's kind of the drawback. Whew, stanky water. Kind of the drawback in doing it this way sometimes. Honestly, in this particular application, and with a tire hammer or a power hammer, gas forge would be the ideal heat source for this, because I could heat up a lot of material at one time and be able to forge it all in one go. You'll hear me often make fun of people with their 5-burner forges, and I still will in this particular instance. But these guys don't have power hammers or presses, so it's kind of like, well, how much material do you think you can realistically forge in a heat? You know, you've got a 5-burner forge, and I'm going to guess that thing's at least 30 inches long. It's just like, come on, man. Come on. So, get this one in, make sure I got, give it a quick field test. Okay, it's cooled off. So now, look at, which camera am I on? Okay. I need to forge down this area here, which is currently rhombused, it looks like. Yeah. So I need to forge this area down here. What I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to do that by hand. I think it's easier to fix that by hand than on the power hammer. The power hammer can fix it, no doubt, but the power hammer can also exacerbate the problem really quickly. In fact, that's how it became rhombused in the first place, was on the power hammer. I haven't used that thing in a minute, so I'm forgetting the tricks to keep it from rhombusing. Every power hammer, not every, but most hit in a certain way, and you got to find that sweet spot, or remember which way to turn things to counteract that desire, that overhit when it's doing that. I got a crack in my handle, I'm seeing on the very end here. Oh man. Right here. Bummer. Falling down a lot, getting dropped, people leaving it on the ground, Corbin. Can't blame him for that, but I can, but I'm not going to. So, switch cameras. So I can see it's very minute, but it's a little thinner right here than down here, and I'm okay with that, because as I blend this back, when I get done here, I'm going to focus my work back down here. So I'm okay with that for right now. It's just something I gotta remember going forward. But I'm going to try and get as much done here as I can while I got this cooled off and something to hold on to. But yeah, I think so far I'm happy with how it's coming out. I still wish I had not forge welded that piece the way I did first. It would have been infinitely easier had I left that and then finished my taper on the whole bar, then went back and did that. A lot easier. Because there's still like a little couple of spots there. And it's like, those are going to be fun to get to. There, let's see how we're doing here. So this can come down quite a bit. Got to switch the camera again, but that's okay. Just keep working this together. Keep on working it. Yeah, it is a little glasses. Hey, Paul, Paul's not here. But next time, Paul, to clean your glasses. Clean your glasses. I know you don't wear glasses. Clean the damn things. Wait. Yeah, no, it's still a little lazy. What's he making? I'm making a fire poker for my wood stove in my basement because the one I have is like 3 feet long and it's ridiculous. So, making a smaller, much smaller one, but I wanted the handle, so I'm making it out of 1-inch round. Because I wanted a big ball end on for the handle part. So right now, I'm just really trying to blend this taper in. I'll switch the camera. Boom. So you can see, it definitely got thin right there. But like I said, I'm going to blend this down still, so it's not that big a deal. The problem is this. I shouldn't have done this. I should have tapered this all the way out first. Got a little overzealous. But this is, where's my... This is getting close. We're at 24 and a quarter for sure. So that's pretty close. And I'm going to work up this way now. And at this point, I think the taper I have here is probably going to mostly stay. And I'm okay with that. Maybe like a heavy rapier, you know, I can jab with it and stuff. So when somebody breaks into the house, I won't have to shoot them with my shotgun. I'll just skewer them with my fire poker. put it back on this one. That was in here. So I'm not going to get this, I don't need it that hot. I'm really, at this point, really just trying to clean things up and start blending it in. Take this twist out of it. And then work that rhombus out. Alright, that's better. Twist isn't completely gone, but it's better. Now I'm just gonna, like I said, all I'm doing at this point is cleaning this up and working my way back while I've got some handle to work with. Because I don't really, if I don't have to use tongs, I would prefer not to. Especially since I don't have the right size tongs here in the shop at the moment. At least I couldn't find them. I mean, I know I have the right tones, they're just where they are. That's the great question. I suspect they're in my truck and it's just too dark to really see what's going on there, out there. And to address that problem, I'd have to go inside and get a flashlight. I don't want to go inside because then the dogs freak out. We have a new dog now. So now we have 3 dogs. I mean, does it ever end? I have that problem of going too far. Lots of times when I try drawing over the corner, I know it's more efficient, but it gets away from me. Lack of hammer control. Yeah, John, I still do that sometimes. I did it here a little bit. I'm not too worried about it because the end of my taper can still come down a bit. But yeah, that can catch you quick if you're not careful. What I was told in that regard is once you, it depends on what type of hammer you're using, but like for a rounding hammer, switch to your flat side. It's far less aggressive and keep your angle level with the anvil. Whereas a lot of times when I'm really breaking it down, I'll bring that up to really get aggressive. So I think this could get drawn down a little bit more. I mean, the more I look at how, that's like 5/8. This going that way, so now I'm going to start going this way a little bit to start evening this up, balancing it out, not evening, balancing. But yeah, that the edge can definitely, if you're not careful, you can definitely get too aggressive with it. And there are times, like I don't typically use the horn, but there are times where I'll use the horn to level that out a little bit. But the other thing is to ease the transitions a little bit. I find sometimes using the horn for that's really helpful. Usually though, that's coming off the power hammer back to the anvil, and then I gotta work back into that. But yeah, it is definitely easy to go too far too fast on edge of the anvil if you're not careful. Like, and some of that also kind of gets to a point where judging how far to go and then when to start backing off kind of comes into play. But man, I tell you, for me, it's excitement. I think I'm like, yeah, we're going. Look how much it's moving. And then I just get carried away and keep going, and no bueno happens. I got a little warm. It's not too bad. I mean, it's just a fire poker at the end of the day, but. Good there. Getting there. When I get closer, what I'll do is I'll take it over to my power hammer and run it through the long axis of the dies, and then I'll kind of true a lot of it all up and really clean things up quickly. Not that I can't do it by hand, but again, we had this discussion, why? But I still need to get this. Getting there, getting there, getting there. 4 to 5 inches at a time. I might just take this over to the power hammer real quick. No, there's no mites about it. I'm gonna. I'm gonna do it. I wish I had a power hammer cam. Okay, enough of this. Oh, there goes the hammer. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. Measure this. $27.25. Super duper. It's actually going to be a little longer than I intended it to be. But I was close. I was close. And this is going to flare out on the end a little bit in terms of thickness. I'm perfectly fine with that. What am I doing here? I think that's fine. Other than it could be straightened, but I'm not too worried about that right now. Like this. So I would say that is close to being done. It's just cleaning up this part here and then doing the handle end. And to be honest, I am half tempted of cutting this off right up here and forge welding the handle on. I'm not going to do that tonight, but I am definitely tempted to give that a shot. Definitely tempted. I'm gonna quench this off, I think. Clean up this end a little bit more. Quench this off real quick. Yeah, almost done, almost done. I just need to clean up that last bit of shank. Ask myself, do I want to leave it square, or do I want to round it up, or even hex it up? And then figure out what I want to do for the handle. And I think I have a ball die for my power hammer. And I don't know if it's 1 inch or not. I'll have to look. But if I do, I might use that on the end. That'll be the other thing. I need to cut the end. Cut that remaining piece off. Well, I'm going to do this part under the power hammer too. Simply because it's almost there. It won't take a lot. It'll be a lot quicker. So, and then I'll go and figure out if I want to forge it round or hex. I kind of like it square, to be honest. Hell, I might go so far as to put a twist in it. Which is not generally something I do. I'm going to try and get a longer heat on this too, since I'm going to the power hammer. Yeah, I think it would look nice hex too, but it's, for me, that length, that's a challenging hex. Keep it, you know, straight for that amount of distance. I'm not Bill Corey. I don't forge hexes every day. Octagon, yeah. What's the 16-sided one? Is it the hexadecagon? 32 is like isosodecagon something? I'm butchering those words, but there's somewhere I don't know beyond the 32. Decahexagon, that's it. What the hexagon, yeah. Or in my circle of friends, why the fuck a gun? Just to take it round. Take it round. That would be a fun experiment though, to see how many sides you can do clean but not taking it round. And that would be, I wouldn't want to do it on more than like maybe a 3-inch piece. Of 1 inch. Okay, I think that's going to be hot enough to do what I need to do. We shall see. there's so much mass on the end of this thing that it's doing that. I can quench this one off. There it is. A little warm. Still a little warm. Definitely better than it was. Who does? Okay. Get closer. 10:30, have to be up at 4:30. Holy camoly. That's definitely what the fuck are going. Good luck with that. Thanks for coming out, man. Have a good one. Oh. Noses. It's a draining. Oh. It is me. Got like this little flavor cube left. $10.40. We'll be right back. What camera? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so my nose wasn't the only thing trying to drain. All right, I'm gonna try. Straighten this here at the device. I don't know if you guys can. There you can kind of see it. Put the tire hanging on. Oh, being crazy hot, they kind of. I'm not looking for true straight. I'm just looking for straight pull as it currently is. That's a lot better. Where are we at lengthwise? "28 inches. And it still might grow a little bit, but that's what I was hoping for, was 28 inches of length total there. So I got logged out on my tablet, and it's not logging me back in for some strange reason. Let me pull it up on my phone. And it's blank. So if anybody said anything, I'm sorry. I've lost, within the last 5 minutes, I've lost that. Feel free to re-put whatever you did. Sorry. Okay, that wasn't great. Shake it up. So I think I'm going to do, unless it gets, I don't think it's supposed to, but what I think I'm going to do is leave this, and I'll come back to it on the next stream and finish it. There's not much left. Really just need, I need some cleanup work here. Not a whole lot left there. It's just cleaning it up, really. It's not, there's no real massive movement there. Now I want to clean this transition up. And then I'm going to cut this off at probably 4.5 inches. No, 5.5 inches, because an inch of that is going to be for the ball end. So, and then I'll forge this down a little bit to make the handle. I don't need a 1-inch thick handle. And then we'll go from there. I'm thinking I'm going to leave it square and maybe put a twist or something, 1 or 2, maybe 3 twists in it, not long twists. I'm not a big fan of twisting the whole damn bar up, but we'll see. But anyways, that's where that's at. I guess you can't really see it very good quality, but like I said, this end going into the 1 inch, that still needs to be cleaned up quite a bit from, well, right about there all the way back. And then I'm going to cut about 5.5 inches of this off and then forge that down into the handle. And then there's going to be like I'm going to leave about an inch and a quarter of material to forge a ball end on. So there's going to be a nice big chunky meatball on the end of it. And then potentially put a twist in the rest of it. So I don't know. I'm sure that's hot, so I'm not going to try to grab it. Let me flip it around and grab it with some tongs. And then as I get closer to done, I will bend this back into its correct orientation, and then finish that end off as well. But yeah, for the most part, I don't hate it. So, I mean, it still needs to be trued up and cleaned up, but I don't like doing any of that until I'm ready to do, you know, like that's not going to get hot anymore. So when I get to a point where I know this end isn't going to be getting hot anymore, that's when I'll start really cleaning it up and doing whatever I want to do on that end, and then move down and do the same thing, the rest of it, and really clean it up from there. That's how I typically do it. Some people will grind and things like that. I'm not saying it's not a valid technique or whatever. And if you're trying to make money at this, it's very, very valid way of going about it. But I'm not, this is for me, so, and it's something that, you know, I want to take my time with, if that makes any sense. Let me switch this camera in. It's something I want to take my time with, because I'm not trying to make money at, you know, I want it to make, you know, I want it to be fun for me. I got a big jet or something flying by. But you know, I'm not into this for making money. So, you know, I want to take my time and do things. Some things I want to do. This is a struggle I actually have a lot. There's some things where it's like, yeah, I know I have a power hammer, but there's some joy in it, just doing it by hand. And I enjoy that aspects of, you know, those aspects of it. There's certain things where, you know, time dictates what I can do sometimes. So there are times when I've arc welded things that really, at the end of the day, I didn't want to, but because of the amount of time I had left to get the thing done, that was the option. But anytime I have the time, you know, I don't. It's kind of weird because I don't consider myself a traditionalist by any stretch, but I guess in some ways I kind of am, because there's certain things where I just, you know, it's like, drill a hole. What? That's craziness. My damn phone shut off now. What the hell? But the drilling a hole, like if you're just trying to get the thing done right, I get it. I mean, it makes sense to me. I get that. But if I had the time to not drill a hole, and I would rather punch it and drift it and make it look forged, you know, I don't want. I'm not a fabricator. I'm not trying to be a fabricator. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I fabricate stuff all the time. It's just, you know, when I'm forging, I want to be forging. You know, that's why I kind of, you know, what interested me was not making a thing or whatever. It was forging things. That was really what caught my eye. You know, it wasn't like, ooh, look at the knife. It was like, you know, ooh, look at the forging aspects of it. And there's not a whole lot of that, by the way. But look at the forging part of making the knife. Jason Knight does a lot of forging of knives, actual forging, not kind of forging into a kind of a shape and then grinding it from there. Not that there's anything, again, not that I think that there's anything wrong with that in terms of like if you're making knives. I don't. I mean, I got nothing bad to say about that stuff. You know, if that's, especially if your focus is making a knife, not forging. You know, I get it. I totally get that. You know, and then if you're trying to make money at it, you know, that's the other thing. You know, there comes a time when, you know, there's a reason a lot of knives just aren't forged anymore. You can get that material in a size that makes sense and machine that right out to what you want. See, now my fire pot is at a point where there is coal still in here, but there's so much dust and clinker, it's just not worth my effort to go through that. So I just scoop it out and get it out of there. I know some guys freak out when they see me do that, but you know what? This is my shot. If you don't like it, you can get the fuck out. It's not worth my time to sit there and pick through that. I'm returning it. I'm going to return it to the earth. How about that? So, I'm sure people have seen me do this before. And I've had a lot of people ask me why. And I've seen a lot of people do the opposite of what I'm doing. And I'll often ask them why. So here's the deal, right? Get out of there. It's like one piece of Coke. They don't want to get out. So typically, I clean my fire pot at the end of the night. And the reason I do that is I don't like having to come out in the morning or the next day or the next time I come out to forge. I don't like to have to clean this out. The other reason I do that is it's a lot easier to clean your fire pot when it's hot with a good wet rag. Now, you don't want it sopping, but you can come over and keep your hands out of the steam. If you can come over and clean your fire pot and knock a lot of this crap off your pot and collect a lot of dust in the process. And it'll cling to your rag. And you can just put the rag back down in there. Usually once or twice is all you need. And a lot of that dust that was stuck to the side of your pot, what is that? Chunk of something. So you get this junk off the side of your pot, all this dust. This crap doesn't burn. All it does is make a giant mess. Get out of your fire pot. The other thing, another reason I clean my pot out at the end of the night is to clean the clinker out of the thing. Because a lot of people have a really bad habit of coming out to a coal forge, and then taking a shovel to it and just dumping that stuff right back onto the table. Essentially dumping all that clinker right on the table. Why in the hell would you start your fire with a bunch of clinker in your damn fuel? That's crazy to me. So I don't like it. One of my biggest pet peeves is watching somebody do that. Get it out, get the big stuff out if you can. All you gotta do is turn the fire off and come back in about 5 or 10 minutes. And that clinker will usually have consolidated at the bottom. It's really easy to pick out with a rake or a shovel or a spatula. Get the big stuff out, get the big coal and coke out of there, and then feed the rest down your ash dump or shovel it out of the damn pot and then clean the pot out while you're there. You know? Now I got a clean fire pot I can come to, tomorrow, next day, whenever I come out. It's clean. All I gotta do is get my fire going. I don't have to worry about a bunch of clinker in there I gotta deal with. I'm ready to rock and roll. It's just like when you're cooking dinner, right? It's a lot easier. I know this is gonna sound crazy. It's a lot easier to wash your dishes right after you cook. One, the pots and pans are usually still hot, and they clean easier when they're hot. It takes, like, if I cook, like the other night I cooked steaks the other night in the house because it was too cold. So I cooked them in a cast iron pot with butter, because butter makes everything amazing. But once I got done, all I did was take a wooden spoon, added a little bit of oil to the thing, added a like a, not a handful, but maybe, you know, a good portion of, what? No, what? Get out of here. But a good portion of kosher salt or big heavy grain salt, you know, like big salt chunks. Throw it in there, mix it with the oil, and use your spoon, and then just kind of, you know, scrape up any of the junk on there, and then take that and then just, you know, dump it out onto a paper plate or something, paper towel, and then wipe the inside of the cast iron down, and it should be good to go. Because you got to get beyond that, put it back on the fire, bring it up to high, you know, a good heat, and then, you know, add some warm water to it, and then that will usually be enough to lift all the gunk off of it. And then when you're done, wipe it down and oil it again. Just make sure when you dry it, and then add some oil to it. And it doesn't take long. And a lot of other dishes you can do similar thing, but you can make a sauce out of, you know, what's left in the pan. So, yeah, I don't hate the camera setup. I'm gonna watch it back later and see how I feel about the anvil cam. I'm sure it looks fine, but there are certain things I want the viewer to see from the anvil cam perspective. So if I don't think that that's working, I'll move it. But so far, I don't hate it. So we'll go from there and play it by ear. The next thing is I'll bring the other camera out. And then if I'm planning to use the power hammer, I'll set it up by the power hammer. So that way when I'm going over there, I can just hit the button and go. And then it's more obvious what's going on. Yeah, my wife's not a fan of the cast iron for the most part. It's too heavy. But yeah, that's what I typically use for most things. The other things, I want to be doing edited videos soon. So my plan is to get like 6 to 8 videos done, then start rolling them out. That way I've got a good head start. And we're gonna try, I can't even put a date on that. It'd probably be midsummer or fall before those start rolling out. Because we want to capture, the thing about it is we don't want to just show us making a thing. We want to show you how to make the thing. So we want you to be able to see the angles and the appropriate angles and what's going into it and what's not going into it, so on and so forth. We want all of that to be captured. And I say we, that's Paul and I. Paul is going to be helping me with some of that. Paul might be the star of some of that. We'll see how it goes, you know. If, you know, like scrolling, I think Paul's far better at scrolling than I am. So if we do any videos on scrolling, it'll probably be Paul doing it. It didn't look as good as me though, so, I mean, I don't know, it could hurt our ratings a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, any chance you get to check out the streams, please do. It'll be helpful. I also understand that not streaming when it gets cold is not conducive to a long-term strategy. So I'm going to work on that. There's going to be times where it's going to be just too damn cold to come out here, and I'm going to have to come up with something. So I think those will be basement videos. And I'm going to try and set it up to where there's things I can do in the basement. At least go over, do things, whatever, talk about stuff. Blacksmithing related when it's too cold to be out here. Speaking of which, it is chilling. It's getting cool out here. I can feel it. It is definitely getting colder. Me not working, not moving around, the fire being out. I'm starting to see my breath a lot more than I was earlier. So, I think because of that, not because of that, but that's the other thing. I don't want to go beyond 11:30 with these streams. So, that'll be another thing. I do have a piece of equipment coming that I won in an auction that I hope will allow me to do more things in the future. So one of the limitations I have right now, in order to do overlays in the chat stuff well, I have to basically run this stuff through a laptop or a computer in OBS, and my setup doesn't use any of that. All I have out here, technically speaking, is a tablet, so I can keep track of the chat, or my phone, so I can do the same. And then my streaming, my Stream Deck thing. It's what is this thing called? It's a Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini Pro, and it's got a button like you plug all the cameras in. I can take 4 cameras and audio sources, up to 2 different audio sources, aside from the camera audio sources, and then I can just hit a stream button and it goes. So this piece of equipment I got is an industrial PC cabinet, like you would see at a CNC station or a plasma cutter station, something that needs to be protected from the elements. I got one of those in an auction, so I've got an old PC. So what I think I'm gonna do is, well, I gotta bring it back to life, but I'll bring it back to life, and then I will make that the streaming machine. I'm gonna need it for my plasma table anyways. So it'll just work double duty. And then the idea with that is I'll put a strip on it, so then all I gotta do is plug in to the box. I don't have to open it up. And then I can have, I don't know how wide it is, but it looked like it'll take a 27-inch monitor. So if it will, that'll really help me, because then I can have a monitor with the chat up, and I can see that much easier, but have it off camera so it's not in my way. So I should be picking that up this week. I've already paid for it, but they haven't called me, so I need to call them tomorrow about picking it up. I also got I think I got a nice oven. I looked it up, it was a $12,000 oven for like heat treating. Go up to 2,000 degrees. So that'll be handy. We used one, wasn't one of those. We used like one of the Paragons or whatever they got over at Coal Iron for a hammer class, and that was handy. I mean, I was like, ooh, I didn't think I needed one of those in my life, but I think I do. And then finally got one. So yeah, I got new lights. What I think I'm gonna do is order 2 more of these lights eventually. They were $200, but I think 2 more would be great. I think one here and another one over here would be super duper. And then the other nice thing is you can adjust the temperature of the lights too. So I think it's coming along. I'm looking to get another camcorder, but I want a cheaper one. And that one I want to use for the power hammer camera if I can. Simply because I'll be able to set it much further away, so it's not going to be as affected by vibrations off the hammer. And then I can zoom in onto the dies. And it'll be handy for when we're filming edited videos, because we want to film from multiple angles and then use the right ones, or use the same one several times to kind of, you know, hammer home the point of what we're trying to get across. So anyways, I've rambled on long enough. I'm gonna call this. I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you at least next Wednesday.